Well, it's once again time to talk about some crime news going on, and again, South Shore 12 missed. They barely covered this story, and I think it was a pretty significant story. Actually, they barely covered it on the TV this weekend, not even on their website at all. So they scrubbed it from their website. But there was a robbery at Tanger Outlets in Riverhead. And this is no surprise, because you'll see that the person involved is homeless and somebody who has a long rap sheet. So it says the combined efforts of Riverhead police and some Good Samaritans led to the arrest of a homeless man who tried to steal a woman's purse on Saturday. On June 29th, at 2:40 p.m., Riverhead police received numerous calls reporting that a woman had been robbed in the parking lot of Tanger Outlets. Police responded to the scene and were able to immediately detain the suspect, who was found hiding behind a bush near one of the Tanger parking lots. Town detectives also responded and conducted an investigation which determined that a female victim, 44, was visiting from out of state and had fallen asleep in the backseat of a friend's vehicle that was parked in the lot while her friends were shopping. The victim reported that she woke up and saw a man's arm reaching through the open passenger side window, then holding her down as she was lying on the backseat of the vehicle. While forcibly holding her down, the suspect reached into the vehicle with his other arm and attempted to remove the victim's purse, which also contained her debit card. A struggle for the purse ensued, and the suspect was able to take it from the woman and flee on foot. The victim, who was reported minor injuries as a result of the incident, said she exited the vehicle and chased after the subject, screaming and alerting others in the area that she had just been robbed. Two Good Samaritans observed her and the fleeing suspect and assisted by chasing after the suspect. Additional witnesses observed the subject's flight and alerted the victim and Riverhead police. The suspect is identified as Sean Collins, 35, who is homeless but frequents the Riverhead area. He was wearing a black ski mask when he was apprehended. Police were able to recover the victim's purse and a debit card. A Riverhead K-9 unit also recovered a GPS ankle bracelet that had been removed and discarded by Mr. Collins. That's right, he was already out of jail. We should have been in jail, but he was probably released with no bail, and they put an ankle bracelet on him. So this crime would have prevented had this despicable human being being behind bars where he should have stayed. Mr. Collins was subsequently arrested and transported to Riverhead Police Headquarters, where he was processed on a charge of third-degree robbery, a Class D felony, and held for arraignment. So there was also a story in the Riverhead Local about this as well. This happened. Let's see. It says this has a few more details. A Tanger 3 parking lot near the wooded area between Tanger 2 and Tanger 3. So he was hiding behind a bush in... All right, so Tanger 2 and Tanger 3. This is Tanger 3 over here. So he was obviously hiding behind a bush somewhere near the woods over here in this area. So, yeah. This is what we have to worry about now. So he's hiding probably behind a bush over here. You have people out of jail terrorizing people in the middle of the island. People that should be in jail, but the middle of the island, we are just overflowing with this criminal vermin that we have. And that is an example of it right there. And, you know, so many more examples now. Yes, News 12 has done a very good job covering this horrible thing that happened in Deer Park. It's gotten a lot of news coverage. And this is another example of somebody who should not have been on the road. So, yeah, he actually said he has a history of driving drunk and speeding, this guy. And he was out. So, again, this is what you're getting in New York. This is what a lenient criminal justice system is. Now, this is where I'm going to pick on South Shore 12, because there are a couple of really big stories that they barely covered. A 2-year-old boy died in Islandia after being found unresponsive in a pool. The child was pulled from the pool at a home on Sunflower Lane at 12:30 p.m., and he was unresponsive. All right? Only 19 seconds that gets. All right? Only 19 seconds. Right? But when something happens on the South Shore, well, that's a little different, because jet ski, $12,000 jet ski that was stolen in Bellport. This is South Bellport, the rich area. We can play a little bit of it here. Obviously, it gets full coverage. So somehow a boy dying is less important than some rich person getting their jet ski stolen in one of the preppy enclaves on the South Shore.
Driveway, and it's all caught on video.
So this is the kind of stuff that pisses me off.
To a family that just brought home triplets from the hospital.
So yeah, they spent 2 minutes on this. 2 minutes on this.
In my yard.
Kevin Walker of Bellport, a brand new dad of trip. It was such a get it down Walker's driveway.
So somebody stole his jet ski.
$1,000. He says he paid $21,000.
$21,000. So you see how these people have money, right? But again, that's more important than a kid dying in Islandia. Yeah, because again, it affects a certain important demographic on the South Shore. So of course, going to talk about it. And then here we go again. They're all over this. Peter Pan Diner goes up in flames all over this.
Done at an iconic
in Bayshore,
Long Island diner.
all over this.
It went up in flames just
this
hours
got 2
ago,
minutes,
and now
2 minutes and
we're taking
30
you
seconds, by the way.
inside the building. News 12, Cecilia Dowd is at the Peter Pan Diner in Bayshore right now. And Cecilia, you spoke with the owner about what happened and the plans going forward.
I did, Antoinette, and I have to say, it's hard to imagine Bayshore without the Peter Pan Diner, and that's because for most of us, it's been here our entire lives. It opened in the 1950s, and though a middle-of-the-night fire left it closed for now, the owners say they will rebuild, they will reopen.
So they will rebuild and they will reopen. Guess what didn't rebuild and reopen? The Harvest Diner. This is all, I actually was able to find this. Staple for 40 years old, 40 years.
Westbury is destroyed, but that was a very
and they didn't rebuild that because it's middle of the island. They're not going to rebuild it because it's middle of the island because it's. This was back when News 12 was actually.
Too hard.
This is when News 12 was not owned by Altice. Look at how much better it was back then.
My work is everybody's out of work.
Going up in flames just before 5 a.m. on Thursday.
I'm going to say 10 departments are here this morning trying to extinguish the.
And cannot be burned away.
In order for us to spend time with our children when they were young, we were here all the time. And our children, their first employments were at the diner.
On its menu, the Harvest Diner calls itself a gathering of fine food, friends, and family. And family it was, especially
I missed that News 12.
Westbury is a melting pot community, and Westbury has welcomed us with open arms since day one.
The cause of the fire remains under investigation.
I think they're very cautious with things like that, so it's probably just like a freak accident.
After officials say around 100 firefighters beat the blaze.
Unfortunately, that diner was not ever, it was never rebuilt. But Peter Pan will be rebuilt because it's, again, on the South Shore. I'm not sure exactly where it is. Exactly. I think it's... Where it is. Let's see if we can find it. I know it's somewhere by Sunrise Highway. Somewhere by the Gardner Manor Mall, I think. Yeah, here it is. So this is it right here. It's over here. So it's by Brightwaters Gas Corporation. So this is where the Peter Pan Diner was. Again, a lot more desirable area. And I'm sure they're going to rebuild this. But unfortunately for the Harvest in Westbury, no, because Westbury is finished. That's an area that's, you know, they knew the neighborhood's going downhill, and they didn't. You can see here. Well, it's still, yeah. That's temporarily closed, right? There's no attempts to rebuild it. This is what's left there. Yeah, a little graffiti. How fitting for the middle of the island. You can see it's just a shell. Used to be a diner here. Got to go way back here, 2019. So this is the diner right here, but they never rebuilt it. I'm sure Peter Pan will be rebuilt. It will reopen because that's a good area. This area is finished, and there's no point in having a business here. Even though in the story they say Westbury is a melting pot. Yeah, because it is a melting pot. They put all the problems in, and now it's an undesirable place to do business. So, and we're going to talk about that more in another video. So yeah, they did cover that. Good for them. I mean, they covered the Deer Park thing, which is good, but again, they barely covered some other stuff going on. You know, this is what we have going on. So, one more thing here. Actually, I want to go back to this for a minute because there are a couple of other stories in here that came up that we want to play here. Now we're going to talk about the plan a little bit. I'll give South Shore 12 credit covering this because there's discrimination going on here. 5 towns community members protest closure of community center because apparently in the 5 towns, certain demographic doesn't believe in helping people. And, of course, the county is all behind that. Again, it's just another part of the plan. So I will play this story.
Protesting a decision by Nassau County. The 5 towns community center will permanently close tomorrow morning. As John Dowding reports, parents are now looking for answers.
And you can thank Bruce Blakeman for this. They want us to shut up and go live in New Jersey.
He has nowhere else to go.
A community center utilized over the last 50 years by those in the 5 towns will shut down Wednesday morning.
We need this program. We need this thing open.
As we've reported, Nassau County told staff at the 5 towns community center last year it is not renewing the lease. Board members submitted a bid last year to save the center.
I've been ignored. I've reached out also to have just a simple appointment with the special committee or Mr. Bruce Blakeman himself, and I have been ignored.
Yep, because Bruce Blakeman is a racist. He's a piece of shit. He doesn't care about people of color. He doesn't care about people lower income. He only cares about his own preppy white kind in the white enclaves.
Now, the parents of the roughly 70 children in the Head Start program don't know what to do.
I feel like I'm in the ocean and I don't know how to swim. I feel already like I don't know what I'm going to do with my kids.
Also impacted, community on drugs and alcohol.
Sorry, if you want to have that, you're going to have to shut up and go live in New Jersey. That's what Bruce Blakeman is telling us.
Substance abuse program located in the center.
You go to have a connection with them. Now we got to refer them out, and they have to start all over.
Some people don't
this
have
is so
the
wrong.
monies or the funds to get to other programs. So this location is really very important for them to come to.
In a statement to News 12, County Executive Bruce Blakeman said there are current negotiations to open a new community center to replace the existing facility, which has not been maintained up to the county standards.
He's full of it.
Please try to do the best for our kids.
In Lawrence, I'm John Dowding, News 12, Long Island.
And the center also runs a food pantry and youth programs. County Executive Blakeman also said a new organization in partnership will bring a better community center for the 5 towns area. The center will be open for a July 8th graduation.
So he's basically telling people, sorry, 5 towns, you got to be a certain demographic to live here now. And he's forcing these people out. It's unbelievable. So let's go to the next thing here that we have here. So water woes drag on in Hempstead Village. So here's another example of discrimination here.
Chambers today pleas for safer drinking water in the village of Hempstead.
They don't care about the village of Hempstead. All the other towns have gotten water improvement, but not the village of Hempstead. Gee, I wonder why.
News 12's Tama Ponton joins us.
This may be the most racist county in the entire country.
What are people demanding tonight?
Well, Kevin, residents from the village of Hempstead are pleading with their county leaders, especially the county executive, to help them get clean drinking water. They say that they want the same kind of help for their community that other Nassau communities have gotten.
Yep, and they keep getting discriminated
Residents from the village of Hempstead tell me they feel like they're being ignored when it comes to their water. They came to today's legislative meeting to push county legislators to approve a request for $1.7 million in funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. As we've reported, the money is to remove 1,4-dioxane from the village's water. Last month, wells were found to have between 3 and 11 times the amount of the contaminant allowed by the state. And according to the EPA, 1,4-dioxane could cause cancer. Now, residents today were not successful in getting their request for water mitigation in the village of Hempstead considered. And many say that's not fair because other communities have had similar requests granted.
Yep.
One legislator who represents the village says with the county getting more than $385 million in American Rescue Plan money, there should be no hesitation when it comes to getting money to the village of Hempstead.
1.7 is a drop in the bucket, and anything helps. And that's essentially the reason that the other districts got that money, because it helps, because otherwise the burden falls on the taxpayers. And in the village of Hempstead, which is a very densely populated, marginalized community, they need that help more than anyone else does.
Now, Now, the spokesman for the county executive tells me in part that the county is waiting to see what funds the federal and state government will give to the village of Hempstead to help clean their water before the county, quote, commits to taxpayer.
It's okay for them to commit taxpayer money to all the white neighborhoods, but when it comes to neighborhoods of color, oh, forget it. We're not interested in that. I'm telling you, Nassau County, most racist county in the country. I really do think that. Speaking of that, let's talk about Nassau County and their hatred for the LGBTQ plus community, because Nassau lawmakers passed a bill banning trans women from female sports teams at county facilities. Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman said that a previous legislative meeting that 80% of Nassau County residents were in favor of his previous efforts. So you can see what a hateful county that we live in here in Nassau County. It really is unbelievable. It really is. And you know the kind of people we're talking about. Same kind of arrogant people you have, especially on the South Shore. But you got to be with them if you want to live somewhere safe. It's like, it's basically how they force us out. And lastly, the last thing we're going to talk about here, let's hear about some snobs whining for 2 minutes out about a proposed cell tower in West Islip. And again, they get all the attention. This shouldn't even get 2 minutes, but because they're narrow-minded, white, arrogant finance professionals, the whole world stops when they're upset about something.
Community meeting on the South Shore, and it's all over a proposal
South Shore,
for
of course.
a new
What
cell
else?
phone tower. News 12's John Dowding was at that meeting at West Islip High School and tells us why residents are fired up.
There's a lot of anger and frustration tonight here in West Islip. Residents say they feel blindsided
Over
by this
a cell
proposal for
tower.
the cell phone tower, and say they're leaving this meeting tonight with more questions than they have answers.
All right, you know what? We'll take the cell tower away and we'll put some homeless in the community, like the way we get treated here in Mineola. How you like that, snobs? Look at these people.
Over 100 West Islip residents voiced their concerns for a
Each and every
proposed
one of
cell
them is
phone
white.
tower that would go along the Robert Moses Causeway entrance ramp.
If you sat down and you said to yourself, what would be the worst place we could possibly put something like this? That would be the area.
Developers for the project, Crown Castle, told neighbors T-Mobile and Verizon are two main parties interested as a way to improve their service in the area. But after the meeting, those we spoke to say they feel questions are left unanswered and concerns have been ignored.
What are
Oh my
the
God.
locations were actually looked at by T-Mobile or by Verizon. They have not indicated why those other locations, if they truly looked at other locations, were not viable.
I really feel that the residents of the community are taking a back seat to concerns when this decision is going to be made by New York
Try living in Mineola, you'll realize how good you have it.
State.
The biggest concerns center around how the tower could impact health, property values, and the local environment.
It's going to be very close to adjoining homes, adjoining property owners, and we're concerned about a precedent this may set for similar projects along other portions of the state parkways.
The company behind the project, Crown Castle, said to us in a statement, Crown Castle is in the early stages of working with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation on a proposed wireless facility that'll increase wireless service to the area. We followed the New York State siting process to notify the community. But residents had a clear message to Crown Castle during the meeting.
Move on, move on, move on.
One resident was in support of this proposal tonight, but most other residents say they want to hear from T-Mobile, Verizon, and local elected leaders next. These public comments will go to the State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation as they reconsider this proposal.
So narrow-minded, arrogant people, this is what you get. But if you want to get the attention and you want to, get a good quality life, you got to be with them. That's the thing. Otherwise, you're going to get treated like Hempstead and have 1,4-dioxide in your community. Or you can get treated like Riverhead, where criminals are released into the community. The same thing with the whole middle of the island, right? So it's all part of the plan to drive us out. Of course it is. It's all part of the plan. And it's all part of the plan. And if you don't like it, you can shut up and go live in New Jersey, of course. So that wraps it up. We're going to keep fighting it, but we all know where it all winds up in the end. But, so much wrong here on Long Island, and I'll talk about it more in my mental health update. But this kind of stuff just really annoys the hell out of me. It really does. I mean, it just, these people are just so arrogant, so narrow-minded, so snobby, and this disease has just taken over Long Island. Long Island is becoming such a mean, nasty place to live. But again, the areas that count are the kind of areas that have those kind of people, and you got to be with them if you want to matter. And if you're not with them, then you're dealing with stepping over homeless people when you catch your train in the morning. That's all.